Good afternoon. Today I'm going to review the attendance policy with you. We did break this policy off from our PTO policy in hopes to clarify what our expectations are regarding attendance. First, I'd like to review with you that when you're calling off, you should be calling off no later than an hour prior to your shift that you are scheduled. We would prefer that you give us even more time. However, if you're going to call off, we expect that you give us at least an hour's notice. You should be contacting either your supervisor or you should be contacting the on-call supervisor. Text message is not an acceptable way of calling off. Employees are required to find coverage for their shift. Your supervisor or on-call supervisor must finalize that and approve it. The reason for that is so that we can ensure that the person that is taking your shift is trained and capable of working with the person that you were supposed to work with. In cases where bereavement is being requested or there is a medical emergency with medical documentation, you will not be required to cover your own shift. An employee who has called off a Saturday or Sunday may be placed on the next schedule or when they would typically have that weekend off. So for example, if you call off on a Saturday, then you may be asked to work that following Saturday. Please note that you may be asked to stay on shift if your relief staff calls off and coverage is unable to be found. That's certainly not our preference. However, we're not always left with a choice. In addition, all PTO or paid time off must be submitted in a JOT form. This has not changed. We expect that you submit your time off with giving us 3 weeks in advance notice. However, if you go to submit a JOT form after that 3-week time period, it's going to not be able to be submitted. So what you'll need to do is contact Angie for further explanation of the time and the lack of giving 3 weeks, the reasoning for why you're not giving 3 weeks. If for some reason you have a surgery that comes up within, let's say, a week and you didn't have 3 weeks notice of the surgery, or there's a medical emergency or something like that, and you have documentation of the medical procedure, we will not deny your time off. Obviously, time off is all based off of what PTO you may or may not have as far as whether or not you're able to be paid. A call off is considered an unauthorized absence and PTO may be denied. We're not saying it's definitely going to be denied. What we're saying is that we are going to be looking at that on a case-by-case basis and determining from there whether or not we're able to approve the PTO time to be used. An employee who is absent for 3 consecutive work days due to illness is required to provide a doctor's note. The doctor's note should state that when you're able to return to work and if there are any restrictions. Additionally, if you are absent for 3 consecutive days due to a non-health related issue, you are also required to provide some sort of documentation. For example, if your children don't have school due to COVID, or if your car is out of order, surely you can provide documentation of those 2 situations. So those are just 2 small examples. An employee who calls off 2 times in a 30-day period will receive a verbal warning. And if an employee calls off 3 times in a 30-day period, they will receive a written warning. We also reserve the right to terminate any employees who we believe to have excessive absences. We can no longer tolerate the amount of absences that we've been receiving, and we do plan on enforcing this. An employee who is absent for 3 or more days without just cause or without properly notifying the agency has been considered to be abandoning their job and will be terminated. There will be 0 tolerance for no-shows and no calls. If anybody has any further questions regarding this policy, please feel free to ask questions when you are done with this recording. Thank you. Have a nice day.